we've got a special guest tonight. We've got Chalisa Fonza, head athletic trainer of the Washington Mystics, who's going to give us the inside out and let us know how really hurt Elena Delle Donne was. And along with Coach Jimmy Fly Hellmann. Chalisa and Jimmy, welcome to the Roundball Report.
Thank you.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
Now, talk about how intense the around-the-clock training was that you and Elena had to do to get her ready to play during the WNBA Finals.
It was really challenging, but a fun experience in the grand scheme of things afterwards. It was a lot of hard work on her part, a lot of time that she put in to do all the things that we were asking her to do to be able to get back on the court and stay on the court. She worked a lot of hours doing a lot of stretching and rehab and just the things that we were asking her to do, not getting into any specifics, but a lot of rehab, a lot of training just to be ready to go.
And I saw that you were with the Washington Mystics earlier on. You left in 2005. You came back in 2018. What was different this time around as far as your athletic training experience and besides the fact that you won a championship?
I think the big thing was that I had more experience myself. So there's about 13-year difference in there where I had went and grown, gotten more experience, been able to do other things as far as a clinician. I dry needle, I do spinal manipulation, so I'm doing some different, I had grown in my techniques and what I was able to offer the athletes. So I think that has made a big difference. The other piece is the organization. It's a family. It was a family then, but now they've really embraced the Mystics, really embraced monumental basketball, because now we're all one, the Wizards, the Mystics, and then just monumental enterprises itself, sports enterprises with the Caps, the Valor. We're all in the district gaming. We're all one big family, and so that's really made it special. I think the last couple of years.
I was curious, do you have a plan, a player plan at the beginning of the season, understanding each player's individual needs, maybe past injury history? Is it encompassing of how you approach?
Definitely. The women, they play all year round. So the majority of them are overseas, even right now, playing. So when they come back, when we're doing their physicals, and even now, I still keep in contact with them once or twice a month to make sure that everything is going the way it should. If they're having issues, we address them, get with their athletic trainers or physios over there, and discuss plans on how we're going to maintain their health, look at numbers as far as minutes and what have you, to make sure that they're not loading their bodies too much, so that when they do come back, I'm not dealing with a lot of overuse things that may limit what they can do when they're here for us for that time being.
That's interesting that you have to bring up that point, how you have to kind of micromanage them as they're away overseas. Do you know how their personal training goes as they're playing overseas? They kind of go away from you and their routine. I would imagine since they're professionals, they have to kind of keep up with it on their own.
Yes, they do a lot of that between myself and the strength coach. She writes out programs for them, trying to keep their strength and stamina, what it needs to be to help so that they can make the transition back to us. You're looking at folks that don't get a lot of off time, downtime, so that plays into the equation. And so how to best marriage what they're doing here, what they're doing over there together is very important. As far as what they're doing over there, I don't see that a lot. I just have to go on what they're saying, how they feel after a few games. If they get injured, that's a lot of times when I'm talking to them about what's going on.
Now, Chalisa, Chrissy Tolliver got hurt and missed a middle part of the season, a large part. How did her injury situation evolve? Because I thought that initially they said it was something other than the bone bruise. Did she have multiple injuries, or what was the story with that?
She had a couple things going on at the same time. The bone bruise is probably the most significant. That, is bone tissue, and bone tissue takes a long time to heal. Some people, depending on where it is, you might hear of people in your families or other athletes that might be able to do more or less. Elena had a bone bruise at the end of the year last year. So just kind of depends on where it is and how it presents itself. And so unfortunately hers was one that was significant where she wasn't able to just pound as much as she'd been pounding or needed to pound for that period. So her injury was was pretty significant, and unfortunately, or fortunately for us, the team really rallied, and we were able to continue to push out, push out as long as we could until the finals, and we did well, and then she was able to come back and be our spark and help us get that championship.
And you get coaches like Jimmy that want a player on the court. How much latitude do they give you that it's your call from a health perspective whether somebody can go or not?
It is my call, but also we take the player into consideration, how they're feeling, how they feel. They know their bodies the best. So it's a collaborative effort between the coaches, myself, the other parts of my medical team, and the player.
Well, actually, when I was coaching in the JUCO, we had great trainers. I was telling her about that. It was the trainer's call. If the that was the policy. If they said the player was not ready, because of injury, that was it. But I just wanted the way that WNBA is structured versus the NBA. You said you're an assistant as well with the NBA,
yes.
Doing the same kind of work. Their games are much more spaced out. They don't play back-to-backs. That's got to help from your perspective when you're dealing with these injuries. Like in the finals, EDD gets hurt on a Tuesday night.
Right.
They don't play game 3 till Sunday afternoon.
That was a blessing.
I was going to say that's a huge. If she had to go on Thursday, maybe that wouldn't have took place.
Right. You were very right. The way that the finals were set up this year really helped us as far as injuries are concerned, because that is very true. We may not have been as fortunate, as far as her being able to participate.
And as far as nutrition goes, do you work with that side of things? Because a player who I was very impressed with this season is Tiana Hawkins and how she whipped herself into shape. And I heard that she had a very strict diet. Is that something that you also focus on?
So part of the encompassing medical team includes our team dietitian, and so they work very hard on a regular basis with the individual player, counseling, helping them make food choices. They actually go to the grocery store, take them to the grocery stores, help them pick out foods that they like, and then try some things that are probably healthier for you, give you some healthier options. I think that was very beneficial. One of the other things our nutritionist and dietitian, that's one and the same, that they do is they take them to do cooking classes as well. So we took them to the grocery store, we picked out some different things, then they take them back and say, okay, this is how you prepare this particular meat, this fish, or whatever it is they chose. And so that has been very helpful. So I think those things, in conjunction with, we do regular routine blood tests beginning, middle, and end of the season, so that you're looking at, what their body makeup is, where there might be deficiencies or whatever, and so we can address those as well. And I think that's where you're probably seeing the effects. And then Tiana, she really killed it, in the off season.
Wow, that's very interesting. I have never heard of that, honestly, and I think it's actually great for players and women to do stuff like that, because they say it's how you feel on the court, and she looked better too. She looked like she felt better, was getting up and down the court effectively and stuff like that. So I think that's very great for your staff and stuff to do that.
Yeah.
So one quick thing, I've read, the collective bargaining agreement is coming up, I think, for the WNBA, and they're going to be in negotiations. And one of the things that I read was that what you do would be in play as far as players that don't go overseas and play are saying that they want to be able to train, practice at the facilities and have access to someone like you year round. Do you see that as something that's going to materialize as they go through these negotiations?
You know, I am honest. I'm not a part of any of those kinds of talks. I think, you know, from my standpoint here, because I'm with them all year and they have access to me all year, they are able to, here with the Mystics at least, get that kind of care and get that kind of advice and anything that they might need because I'm here, you know.
Is that standard though for the other teams?
I got one question to ask before we cut her
Okay.
off.
Okay.
Chalisa, you work with the men and the women. Who's tougher, the men or the women? Depends upon the athlete.
Yeah. I think most women know the answer to that question. Honestly,
Because they say the men are babies when we're hurt. I'm sure that
You
applies
can
to athletes
ask her
too.
the main question though. How does it feel to be a champion?
and it's awesome. It's awesome. It's probably the second greatest feeling I've ever had. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's pretty awesome.
Well, congratulations to you. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
And good luck for the rest of the season with the men.